Picture draft night, July 2021. Jonathan Kuminga hears his name at number 7 to the Golden State Warriors. He's coming straight from G League Ignite, skipping college, and betting on himself. And now he's teammates with Steph Curry. That's about as storybook as it gets for a 19-year-old. Meanwhile, his Ignite teammate Jalen Green goes number 2 to the Houston Rockets. A different path, a different situation. The Rockets were rebuilding, which meant lots of minutes right away for Jalen Green. He basically lived on the court from day one, 32 minutes per game as a rookie. Even more in year 2, 34.2 minutes, and around 33 minutes a night by year 4. That much time on the court lets you make mistakes. It lets you learn and grow in real time. Kuminga's first year looked completely different. He won a ring, yes, an NBA title as a rookie in 2022, which, don't get it wrong, is incredible, but he played a very small role, about 17 minutes per game in the regular season and some moments here and there in the playoffs. Winning is awesome, that's the name of the game, but the development is slower when you're on a veteran team chasing banners. That split between opportunity versus environment is the heart of this story. Jalen Green got the keys early. He got to play a lot of minutes and had the freedom to try stuff, fail, and come back the next night with his ball in his hands like nothing happened. That runway led to a lot of money. In October of 2024, he signed a 3-year extension worth about $106 million, roughly $35 million per year on average. That was the Rockets telling him, "We believe in your ceiling." Kuminga's path though has been choppier. He's clearly very talented. The super athletic wing who can score in space, has some moments of brilliant shot making, but his minutes and role have bounced with the Warriors' needs. When you're the young guy on a contender, your leash is very short. You might feel ready, but the rotation might say otherwise. That's how a player can look like a future star one week and then be riding the bench the next. The result of that is that he enters the 2025 offseason without the big, secure deal in his hands. He has not received the bag yet. And here's where the money piece really stinks for fans. The qualifying offer. For a former number 7 pick like Kuminga, the qualifying offer for 2025 landed at about $7.9 to $8 million. Basically a 1-year bet on yourself type deal that keeps him restricted for one more summer and then opens the door to unrestricted free agency. It's a very rare and risky deal, but it's on the table. The Warriors issued that qualifying offer in late June of 2025, and several reports have confirmed that the deal is about $8 million as the number. So when people compare Green's $35 million per year with Kuminga's potential $8 million for one season, there's a pretty big difference. It's a snapshot of two completely different journeys. Green went to a team that would soak up his growing pains. Kuminga joined a team that was built to win right now. One path meant higher usage, numbers, and financial leverage. The other path delivered a ring, spotlight moments, and the pressure to fit, but far less money, and the fact that you might be sitting for long periods of time. If you're Kuminga, this is very complicated. You've already tasted a championship. You've shown that you can swing games by yourself with your athleticism, and you're still only 22. But without a steady star level role, the market only pays you for what you've consistently shown so far, not just what you might become. That's the trade-off of landing on a contender at 19 years old. It's a dream scenario for many, sure, but is it the easiest road to a $100 million deal? Not always. And this is why Kuminga and the Warriors are in this high-stake face-off, where nobody's willing to budge. If Kuminga doesn't settle on a long-term deal, his backup plan ends up being the qualifying offer. Like I said before, doing that means that he's really betting on himself. He's giving up guaranteed multi-year money now for the chance at full free agency in 2026 as an unrestricted guy, meaning no team matching rights or restrictions. As you might expect, this isn't just about money, it's also about control. The qualifying offer comes with an implied no trade clause, meaning Golden State can't just flip him mid-season without his okay. That's a pretty big thing for Kuminga. He doesn't want to be stuck where he doesn't want to be. For example, take Ben Gordon. In 2008, he did the same thing. He bet on himself, killed it with the Chicago Bulls, and scored a big contract from Detroit. But this path can also backfire. Look at Nerlens Noel in 2017. He turned down a $70 million deal, took the 1-year qualifying offer with Dallas, then got hurt, free agency blew up, and he ended up signing a minimum contract. As you can imagine, he ended up regretting that decision very hard. For Kuminga, it's a giant now or never opportunity. He'd pass up about $14 million this coming season, but he would get the ultimate freedom next summer at just 23 years old. If he pans out and he has a healthy season with high level of production, he could sign a huge deal in 2026. But if he doesn't, he might lose out on all that money. But this isn't just about him. The Warriors also have a real problem if Kuminga takes the qualifying offer. As an executive told reporters, seeing him go that route would significantly hamper the Warriors' team building strategy. They need him under a tradable deal to make moves later. With only an $8 million salary and Kuminga having veto power, they can't send him out on a sign and trade. Without that trade flexibility, they lose out on potential assets, and they won't be able to sign other players without resolving his contract. Golden State did try to strike a deal, somewhere in the $22 to $23 million range for 1 year, or $45 million over 2 years with a team option in the second year, but Kuminga declined. The Warriors also asked him to waive the implied no-trade clause, but he refused that as well. He wanted control. Meanwhile, the Warriors wanted flexibility. On the flip side, teams like the Kings, the Suns, and the Bulls have floated offer in the ballpark of $80 million to $90 million over multiple years. That is if Golden State agrees to a sign and trade. But the Warriors have held firm, believing that those offers don't meet their standards. Right now, both sides are digging in, and there's a lot at stake. For Kuminga, the risk is missing out on long-term security, but potentially landing a huge deal next year as a free agent. For the Warriors, they would be losing a top 10 pick for practically nothing, and will get stuck in a position where they're unable to make roster moves. It's a countdown. Kuminga has until October 1st, 2025 to sign the qualifying offer. If he wins it all, stays healthy, and makes his case, then great. But if you slip up, that's tens of millions left on the table. Meanwhile, Golden State can't move until this saga wraps up. With the clock ticking and both sides standing firm, every minute feels bigger than any simple contract standoff. Now, a part of this problem is that there's been years of frustration building up. You see, Kuminga's relationship with Steph Curry was great, but his rapport with Coach Steve Kerr, that's a whole different story. It all started early in January of 2024. When Kuminga was benched for the entire fourth quarter of a game versus the Denver Nuggets, despite scoring 16 points in just 19 minutes. The Warriors blew an 18-point lead while he watched on the bench. Reports then surfaced claiming that Kuminga had lost faith in Kerr and no longer believed the coach would let him reach his full potential. That game reportedly became the straw that broke the camel's back. Kerr later insisted that the meeting that followed went really well, emphasizing that his door is always open for players, and Kuminga confirmed that they did have a constructive conversation. He shared how Kerr told him he needed to do the small things that will help the team and to be more locked in. But those comments didn't settle at all. Kuminga made his confusion public. He said, "Sometimes I come out of the game not knowing what I did, and that messes up with my head. It's like, what do they want me to do?" That level of uncertainty and inconsistency in playing time clearly weighed on him. Then we fast forward to April of 2025 and things had not improved. Kuminga got a DNP, did not play, and it was the coach's decision. And it came during a must-win finale against the Clippers. And while Kuminga was benched, secondary players got a lot of minutes. To everyone, from analysts to fans to insiders, it was obvious that this was Kerr officially getting off the Kuminga wagon. In total, Kuminga missed key rotation slots late in the season, while the Warriors leaned on established veterans to try and get wins and get a good playoff position. Now here's a part of the tension. Kuminga has showed serious flashes when given the opportunity. In the 2025 playoffs, when Curry missed games, Kuminga dropped 26 points off the bench in the series lost to Minnesota. The last stretch had him averaging 24.3 points per game over 4 games. But the analytics painted a different story. The Warriors' net rating with Kuminga on the court before the Minnesota series was minus 10.1. Without him, it was plus 1.5. Coaches saw the rebounding gaps, the defensive lapses, and fit issues, especially alongside other high-usage stars. Even fans on Reddit were talking about it. When Curry was sidelined, Kerr pivoted and leaned into the rotation shifts, giving Kuminga real responsibility again to find that formula without Steph. Kerr even said publicly that Kuminga is absolutely part of that formula during the series versus Minnesota. But even by then, the trust between the two was already broken. At this point, the dynamic feels fractured. On one hand, Kuminga has fire potential and showed flashes of brilliance in the playoffs. On the other hand, Kerr and the other coaching staff are uncertain about how to blend him into a rotation built around Curry, Butler, and Draymond. The mixed messages on minutes, performance expectations, and role consistency have chipped away at a relationship that may now be irreparable, especially as Kuminga heads into restricted free agency and the final stretch of the Warriors championship window with Steph. Now, Golden State's handling of Kuminga has been rough on both sides. No matter what you hear from each side, there's always two sides to every story. They once thought highly enough of Kuminga that they turned down a trade for Pascal Siakam, and now in the summer of 2025, suddenly he's a sinking asset. Multiple offers have come in from the Sacramento Kings and the Phoenix Suns. Sacramento's package included Devin Carter, Dario Saric, and a protected first-round pick. Who knows, they could even add more picks to it. The Suns were offering veterans like Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, plus draft compensation for a sign and trade. But once again, the Warriors said no. Their expectations were a lottery caliber first-rounder and a young player who can contribute now. They've reportedly held out for Keegan Murray or Keon Ellis, two defensive-minded players with shooting upside. They believe those names greatly improve their roster flexibility and actually fit their timeline. The problem is that the Kings have made Murray and Ellis off limits, as expected. They simply refuse to trade them in any deal involving Kuminga. This leaves the Warriors stuck with mid offers. Sacramento has been sending proposals with Dario Saric and Devin Carter, but again, there's no guarantee of high level upside. The Warriors want more, an unprotected first round pick, not just a protected one, as well as a player who they can plug in right away. Naturally, the offers haven't matched their demands. From Sacramento's side, many believe they've offered enough. They've pitched a spot in the starting lineup for Kuminga. They're going to give him big minutes and a long-term contract worth potentially up to $90 million over 4 years. That's not small potatoes. There's a lot of things that could do with $90 million. But from Golden State's perspective, they gave up on internal development early and now believe his trade value needs to justify that loss. Warriors sources have reportedly expressed concern privately that letting Kuminga leave without getting real assets would be disastrous for team building. One source even said that if Kuminga signs the qualifying offer and then departs in 2026, Golden State will be stuck without compensation and without any trading flexibility. That's one reason that they're digging in on value. Meanwhile, others are kind of making fun of the Warriors' bargaining position, which makes sense. These guys bench Kuminga during crucial playoff games, and now they're asking for Keegan Murray? So yes, Golden State is caught between a rock and a hard place. They overvalued Kuminga at the start, turning down Siakam type value, and then although they kept Kuminga, they underused him, and then now they're demanding too much. No team is willing to match what they're asking. If they concede now, they'd get something mid, nothing transformative. If they hold out, they risk Kuminga taking the qualifying offer and leaving with no return. It's basically a lose-lose setup. Sacramento and Phoenix have shown interest, Chicago and Miami have floated some weaker bids, but the only way a deal happens is the Warriors either lower their asking price or Sacramento gives up on one of the players they're protecting. Right now though, both sides seem unwilling. Golden State position is wait or lose. They want a star back in return so they can use him around Curry, Butler, and Draymond. Sacramento naturally wants Kuminga, but they don't want to surrender their future rotations. Now what makes the situation even crazier is that this isn't just a Jonathan Kuminga contract saga. It's the centerpiece stall of the Warriors' entire offseason and very much a make or break moment for their franchise. The Warriors reportedly have handshake deals with Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. Both of these guys are ready to sign, but they can't finalize either until Kuminga's situation is resolved. You might be asking, why is that? Well, his contract or potential trade will affect whether Golden State triggers a hard cap under the NBA's new salary structure, which would massively limit future flexibility. Horford is expected to sign for $5.7 million, the taxpayer mid-level exception, and Melton is supposed to sign on the minimum, but signing them would lock the team into a cap threshold that they can't surpass, especially if Kuminga remains under cap control. Only once his future is clear can Golden State finalize these deals without jeopardizing trade capacity or tax thresholds. Despite all the drama, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green remain a top-tier trio. Curry had another great season. He was named an All-Star and even won All-Star MVP, doing all of that at the age of 37. Butler added a mid-season boost, and Green, despite his temper, still remains a Defensive Player of the Year caliber player. But injuries and wear and tear all happen, especially to an older team. Curry's hamstring injury in the playoffs exposed how much the team depends on him. Without him, they don't have an offense. So that means it is critical that the Warriors strengthen the supporting cast before these stars age out. The Warriors have lacked consistent supporting pieces outside of their core. Players like Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski were expected to step up, yet inconsistency and bench rotations have held them back. The failure of the youth movement forced Curry and Green to shoulder too much at this stage of their careers. They urgently need floor spacing wing defenders and a stretch big, players who can coexist alongside Butler and Draymond. But again, the cap constraints, along with Kuminga's unresolved deal, means they haven't been able to land those pieces yet. It could be Steph Curry's final full swing in his prime. He signed a 1-year, $62.6 million extension through 2026-2027. But at his age, every season counts. The longer the team stays frozen in limbo over Kuminga, the more the time slips away. If they miss out on key targets like Al Horford or Melton, or end up making a bad trade just to resolve the Kuminga mess, they could very much hamstring their title chase while their championship core ages. Resolve Kuminga's future, and suddenly this team can move forward. They can sign veterans, they can finalize rotation plan, maybe even execute a sign and trade of their own. But the more this gets delayed, the more they get stuck with just 9 roster spots, limited cap flexibility, and no strategy for the future. At this moment, the Kuminga saga is the bubble holding the Warriors offseason afloat, or it could be the bubble that sinks it entirely. Without clarity on his situation, every move is postponed, every contract is paused, and the championship clock ticks louder every day. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love this one as well. Check it out right here.